Do you hear that? That's the sound of one of the biggest flops in DC history.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
The Flash struggled to make an impact with audiences. Initially, the film was expected to open to an impressive $140 million, which was then cut in half to $70 million. The film failed to reach that mark, instead opening at a paltry $55 million. The underwhelming opening had fans confused and Warner Brothers scrambling. This weekend, the news was worse as the film suffered a record-breaking drop in audience attendance, and all hopes for The Flash being successful are dead in the water. But before we get into that, today's video is brought to you by us here at shopwcbs.com. You know, it's summertime, it's getting hotter, but you have to wear something out in public, so why not wear something with style and class? World class, that is. So go to shopwcbs.com and get yourself an official WCBS t-shirt. There are dozens of choices designed by me, and all of our shirts are shipped and printed through Teespring, so you get their customer service, support, as well as the high quality each of their t-shirt carries. So go to shopwcbs.com right now to grab one of those, and since it's summer and it's so damn hot out, you might want something cool to drink. So why not drink that cool beverage out of an official WCBS pint glass? When you do, you'll become the fifth bullshitter. You can crack a cold one with us and spend your summer watching all the new world-class bullshitters content coming your way, including the return of Good Morning Pop Culture. So folks, you can click on those links below, get yourself an official WCBS piece of glassware, wear the t-shirt, and hang out with us all summer long. And now, back to the video. Times are bad for superhero films. Each release is bringing in less than the film before. In previous years, superhero films were a sure thing, with more billion-dollar pictures than any other genre. The demand for the superhero film has declined, though the production of these massively expensive endeavors has not. While films with the name Spider-Man in the title can still be successful, the heyday of superhero movies have passed. Warner Brothers is learning that the hard way as their newest summer blockbuster, The Flash, is breaking records for all the wrong reasons. Somewhere across the multiverse, The Flash, once touted by its own studio as one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, should be towering over the box office with ease in its second weekend of release. But in this universe, audiences are flat out rejecting the Warner Brothers movie starring Ezra Miller as the eponymous timeline-spanning speedster. Rather than taking a victory lap, the DC comic book adventure is cratering. Over the weekend, The Flash suffered a brutal 73% decline in its second weekend, with a $15.3 million box office from 4,265 American theaters. That's a far bigger drop than the recent DC adaptations like Black Adam and Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which ended up as notable money losers for the studio. In the case of The Flash, it's a catastrophic result of the $200 million budget tentpole because it signals that ticket sales won't rebound in its theatrical run. So far, the film has generated a lousy $87 million at the domestic box office and $123.3 million internationally, bringing the worldwide total to $210.9 million. Let's break the number down a little more. So if we take what the film made over the weekend, $15.3 million, divide that by the amount of theaters there are, 4,265, you get 3,587 roughly. If you take that number and divide it by the average price of a movie ticket in America, which is $11.75, you get 305 tickets were sold per theater across the entire weekend. Your average movie theater holds 150 to 250 people. That means the people who went to see this movie over this weekend were pretty much seeing it in empty theaters. Based on rudimentary Hollywood math, The Flash needs to make 2.5 times its budget to break even. That's $500 million. At this point, that is not possible for The Flash. According to Variety, The Flash's box office is suffering even more than expected in its second weekend. Although it was projected to drop around 60%, it ended up dropping 73%, even lower than Shazam! Let's compare The Flash to the rest of the DCEU, and let's see how it stands up against other comic book films. As we can see here, The Flash has just faced the biggest drop in the history of the DCEU. Looking at the films with the biggest weekend drop-offs, we have The Flash at 72.5%, The Suicide Squad at 71.5%, Jonah Hex at 69.7%, Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice at 69.1%, and Shazam! Fury of the Gods at 69%. The Flash suffered the third worst second weekend drop in superhero movie history at the domestic box office. Now let's check out the worst superhero movie drops domestically. Steel, 78%. Morbius, 73%. The Flash, 72.5%. X-Men Dark Phoenix, 71.5%. The Suicide Squad, 71.5%. Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, 70.7%. Jonah Hex, 69.7%. Hulk, 2003, starring Eric Bana, 69.7%. Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, 69.1%. And Elektra closing out the top 10 at 69%. With a box office total of $210 million across all territories, including the US, the total will leave The Flash as the 9th highest grossing of the 13 DCEU movies at the domestic box office when all is said and done. And as you can see here, in first place is Wonder Woman, followed by Aquaman, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad, Man of Steel, Justice League, Black Adam, Shazam, The Flash, Birds of Prey, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, The Suicide Squad, and at the bottom is Wonder Woman 1984. If you'd like to hear reviews of all these films, check out our archives. World Class Bullshitters has been around long enough for us to review all of these films as they dropped in theaters, except Steel. Both Shazam 2 and The Flash have now proved to be box office disappointments for Warner Brothers, which will undoubtedly leave the studio worried about the fate of the 2 remaining DC movies ahead of the reboot, Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2. As James Gunn has already announced, Jamie Reyes, aka the Blue Beetle, will be the first DCU character. There may still be time to salvage the financial chances of his solo debut. Perhaps if the Blue Beetle's place in the reboot can be worked into the marketing, fans may be more intrigued to give it a chance. With Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom likely to suffer the same box office fate as Shazam 2 and The Flash, especially after the worrying news from test screenings, there is conceivable word that Blue Beetle could come out as the highest-grossing DC movie of 2023, topping the works of all familiar characters. After turning out $220 million on The Flash production and reportedly plenty more on expensive marketing campaigns, the movie now seems unlikely to turn a profit, and could instead lose Warner Brothers a massive amount of money. Fans have blamed the disappointment on a number of factors, including the Ezra Miller controversy, the mixed word of mouth, the imminent DCU reboot, the superhero fatigue, and several main criticisms facing the movie. But realistically, the true explanation lies in a mix of all of these factors, which combined to topple The Flash. Added to this, the fact that nostalgia isn't as profitable as it once was. Michael Keaton was once thought to help The Flash secure a successful box office run, and even though he was the focal point of the marketing, the film is underperforming. The same concerns are being raised at the upcoming Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That very expensive film opens this week. Watch our review Thursday at 9 p.m. here on the channel. That film needs nearly $1 billion to make a profit, and it's looking more and more unlikely. The biggest question here is, can DC rebound? After a decade of relatively disappointing films, the DC label has been severely tarnished. The hype surrounding each subsequent film has diminished to the point of failure, and now The Flash is breaking records, just the kind no studio wants broken. Competition was stiff for The Flash, but there are so many more factors at play, which we've addressed, and they have created a nightmare scenario that DC is ready to wake up from. So folks, what do you think about this? 3 questions for today. Are you surprised at the massive box office drop? Did you watch The Flash? And question 3 is, if you did watch it, did you like it? You can hear our review here on the channel. We gave it a solid 6 out of 10. It wasn't great, it wasn't terrible, it just was. But what it is a disappointment, and that's not a surprise to anyone. The internet can make excuses for people like Ezra Miller all the time. Famous people can get away with stuff. But it severely damages their ability to make money at the box office. People do not want to support that kind of person, and they're showing that with their apathy towards The Flash. Also, the fact that the film doesn't look that interesting. The multiverse concept, which we'll talk about in another video in the future, is not as engaging or captivating. It's fun to discuss on the internet, but in reality, it's a confusing mess that never ties the movie together well. It comes off as the cinematic equivalent of children playing with toys. You can make Batman team up with Batman to team up with Batman to fight Batman, but in reality and thematically on film, it doesn't really work. The nostalgia hype of seeing Michael Keaton, the Batmobile, the Wing, all of these wonderful things, Wayne Manor included, were fun cameos, but the film lacked the quality of fun that the cameos had. Now, on the flip side of that argument is Spider-Man Across the Multiverse, which is breaking records and becoming one of the highest-grossing animated films of all time. The difference is the Spider-Man brand. Spider-Man, much like Batman, is the outlier of superhero films. Spider-Man has been successful in every endeavor, and even his least successful endeavors were only because of the massive amount of money it cost to make the film. With that being said, films like Morbius do fail to deliver, and the upcoming Kraven the Hunter, well, it isn't looking too bright for Sony's spin-offs of Spider-Man. But as we always say here on the channel, time will tell. So folks, I want you to tell me everything you think about The Flash, everything you think about multiverses, and a whole lot more. Make sure to join us tomorrow, Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our live show, The High Council. Catch me in the mornings from 8:30 to 10, Tuesdays through Fridays here on the channel for Good Morning Pop Culture. And always watch our flagship show on Thursday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, World Class Bullshitters, the epitome of pop culture. It's a fun, interactive pop culture show where you, the audience, are the 5th bullshitter. So come early, stay late, and hang out with your buddies here on YouTube. We're happy to have you. So folks, I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back next time with more. But in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.
Thanks for watching today's video. Yes, it's over, but don't cry because there's more, a lot more from World Class Bullshitters. And there's only one way to get it. Hit that subscribe button below. When you do that, you'll get notifications and updates from World Class Bullshitters every time we go live. Basically, you won't miss anything. And if there's one thing I hate, it's FOMO. But the thing most people hate more than FOMO is fear of missing out on World Class Bullshitters, because there's just some things you can't undo. So folks, do yourselves a favor and never miss anything from World Class Bullshitters. One last thing before you go, hit the thumbs up button. Not for our egos, no, they're big enough as this, but it does help us fight the algorithm here, and well, it's man versus machine, and that's the real fight. But if that's not your battle, that's okay. There's one last way you can help WCBS, and that's going over to shopwcbs.com, picking up a t-shirt, a beer glass, a sweatshirt, a poster, all sorts of ways to back WCBS. The difference between us and other YouTube channels is I'm the artist that makes all this stuff, so if you enjoy art beyond t-shirts, you can even read our comic books. We got it all. We're called the epitome of pop culture for a reason, and no, again, it's not for our egos. So folks, make sure you're involved with every aspect of World Class Bullshitters, not just for us, but do it for yourself. We're making the change in entertainment everybody out there wants to see. And a special thank you goes out to all of our wonderful patrons who make this content possible. Go to patreon.com/worldclassbs to get involved and help out the channel.